This is Mr. Burley at the York Catholic District School Board. In this tutorial of Photopea, we're going to show you how to colorize a black and white picture to make it look more realistic. A lot of fun if you get a historical picture and bring that in, and you can play with it and make a nice old historical picture, make it colored. So first thing they're going to do that, I'm going to use a couple of images that I've grabbed off another video that I followed, and I'm going to use those images because I'm used to doing them, and secondly, it has lots of areas that we can color. So rather than going File, make a new project here, I'm just going to minimize this for a second and pull it over, and I'm going to grab the images. I'm going to grab this one right here, bring it in. There we have it. And so now what I want to do is first thing I want to do is I want to start coloring her skin. Now, you know, the zooming in and out and the panning up and down and so on. So that'll come in very handy right now. First thing we're going to do is we come down here and we create a new adjustment layer, and we're going to color fill it. And it's going to become red. And over here, double click this one, and we're going to call it skin. And now what I want to do is I want to click on this right here and double click it. Oh, sorry. Double click this one, sorry, wrong one. Color fill. Now, if you're good, you can go and pick a color that you think is a skin color and will look natural. But another way you can do it is we can actually take from another image. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to drag this one in here, and we're going to drag that one down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that one, bring it down here just to the bottom like this. And then we can use this one to turn it off and on. But when we click on this color, when we click on the color here and we click the color here, we can, rather than clicking anything here, we can choose a color in this person's face that we figure most represent. So let's just say something around this area here maybe. And we click OK. And now we're going to click on this skin one, and we're going to go Control-I, and we're going to invert the picture. So now this color is behind. So now what we're going to do is we can use our zoom tool. We can minimize or hide this reference image. We don't need it any longer. And then we're going to come in here, we're going to start painting. Now this part here takes a little bit of time, and if you do a nice job, it'll really look professional. Now we're painting with white over here. We're going to select the brush tool, and initially I'm going to select a large brush. So I'm going to come over here and select the large brush. Now, when you come here and you start painting, you can see, well, that looks like paint. You can't see anything. So what you do is you come over here and you click this and you drop it down to color here. And now, as we do it, it'll start to look a little bit more realistic. Now, our opacity is set to 100%. So what we can do is we can come down and we can take this opacity and bring it down so it doesn't look quite so cartoonish. You know, up high, it looks cartoonish. Down below, it's gone. So find an opacity level that looks realistic. And you can zoom out and have a look at it to see as you're doing it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you here a couple of things before we move on. Is I'm going to go to a small brush to get into the fine details. Now, you want to be really careful, especially in here. You don't want to go into her eye, but you want to go in far enough that you don't keep any of the skin color the wrong color. So you can come in like this. Now, if you inadvertently go like this and color an area that you didn't expect to or didn't want to, you can simply come over here, select black now, and come back and take it back out. So white will expose underneath and black will bring it back. So I'm going to go back to the white, and I'm going to continue painting with white, and I'm going to come all around here. And you want to do a really nice job. Take your time, fill this all in. It takes a little bit of time. It's going to take you probably 15-20 minutes to do it all. And I'm going to pause the video right now, and then I'm going to fill mine in, and we'll come back and we will do the rest of it. Okay, we're back. I finished my section now. If you look in, there's some stuff I've missed, like in through here. I could have done a better job. I use the Control-Alt-Z a lot when I'm doing it, because I'll do something and I'll inadvertently go too far. Control-Z. The other thing I wanted to let you know, and it's a little trick as you go, and I should have let you know prior to this, but each time you use the brush tool, the longer you hold it down, when you go to undo something, it undoes a whole long way back. So what I like to do is I like to paint like I'm painting with a brush. I'll do a little bit of area, I'll let go, do a little bit of area, let go, do a little bit of area, let go. That way when I start to do my backups or undos, it doesn't go quite so far. Because if I come down through here and just do one little mistake and I click Control Z, I can just come back and right there and redo it again, coming down through there. Now again, you'll look at some of mine. As you zoom out, you can have a look at it and see and play with the opacity. Like I said before, if you bring the opacity up, it looks very cartoonish. You bring it down, it's gone. So you bring it up to a level that looks correct, looks realistic. So I'm going to take the hand tool, I'm going to bring it to the center for a second. And now I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to do her eyes. And the eyes are pretty cool. You can have fun with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is come down here and we're going to click Create Color Fill. And over here, we're going to switch it to eyes. And we're going to double click here. And we're going to select the color. Now, we could go and grab a color off of a natural eye color somewhere, or we can just have some fun. I'm going to select I'm going to go for maybe a green. No, I'm going to go for a blue. I'm going to try to select a blue that looks somewhat realistic. Go around, play around a little bit and see what I can see. Let's try something like this. Now click here, Control I, and then as long as you're painting white, you can come in here. And if I start painting, it's going to come up and it's going to look like, first of all, I'm going to make a small one. It's going to look like paint. It's going to cover it right over because I've got to come in here and change it to color. And then I can come in and I can just, it's probably better to take a smaller one, maybe as small as you can get for the pixels, so you can do a really nice job with it. And just come in here like this, color in those eyes here, and even on the black you can come, because there's going to be some spots in there. You can see some of the skin I missed up in here, so I could easily come back and fix that. If I go onto this layer here, fix it up. So do it like that. Now, if you look at the opacity, you can change the opacity to make it look more realistic. You can zoom out a bit, and then you can play with the opacity so that it starts to look a little bit more realistic. I guess so something along that line looks nice. So play with that, and then the next we'll come in and we'll do the one more. We'll do the hair next. Okay, so hopefully your eyes are all looking professional and looking realistic. I'm going to do the lips next. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to come down here, select a new raster level, color fill. I'm going to change it to lips. So I can do a couple things. I can use a color I want, or again, I can come back and I can turn this one on. I'm going to go Control I first and select this and double click. I'm on the lips, so I'm going to double click here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on this image back on. Oh, it is on, sorry. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to sample some area of her so that might be more realistic. So I'm going to select there, click OK. And now I can, again, hide this one. And I can come back in, and you want a really small, you want to be careful you don't get the teeth, and you want to get a really small pixel. Now you can start off, so we're going to get a brush tool. We're painting with white, so it's going to reveal. We can come in here and we can select the big one for, that's way too big. Select this one first, just to, oh, it says layers not editable because I'm clicked on here, not here. So I'm going to come in there. Now again, I'm painting, it doesn't look realistic. So the blending mode we're going to use, this one looks nice. We're going to overlay. Overlay looks kind of realistic, I find. You can play with them different ones and see what looks right for you. I'm going to come in, I'm going to get a smaller brush. I'm going to take my time here. And I'm going to pause the video while I fill mine in. Okay, we're back. What I've done is I finished filling in her lips. They don't look too bad. Now what you can do is you come over and you can play with the opacity. So I'm making sure that I'm on the lips layer, and then we're going to play with the opacity a bit. We're going to blend it out. This looks very cartoonish again. So we're going to play around with it till it looks realistic. Now you can zoom out and have a look, and you can see that looks much more realistic. So you can play with the opacity. You can play the opacity with all the different colors. So the next thing I want to do is I want to work on filling in her hair. The wispy parts that go out, I'm not going to concern myself with. If you want to do a really, really good job, and you could cut the background out, like in my previous tutorials, you could do a nice job with that. And you could spend a lot of time doing it very professionally. For our purposes today, I'm just going to show you how to get doing that, the hair. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down, create a new layer, color fill. Oh, here we go. We're going to have announcements. Okay, so I finished painting in the hair now. It's looking pretty good. Again, play with the opacity and have a look and see, cartoonish, lying it. That's a little more realistic right there. Looks realistic. I didn't do as good a job as you did. Hopefully you did a nicer job than me. If you look closely, you can see. Now again, you can go back and forth. You can switch back to the skin color, take the black tool, blot something out, go back to the white tool, fix that up a bit. And it can be an ongoing back and forth thing. And typically it should be, because unless you're perfect the first time, I mean, you can use your Control Z and so on, but the best way to do it is that. Okay, so got the hair done. Now, another thing you can play with too, with the hair, is you can come up here and you can click this mask, and you can take the feather and it'll take the hard edge. What it'll do is blur the edge to make it look a little bit more realistic. Now, if you go too far, it doesn't look very good. What happens is the colors bleed together. But if you zoom right in, and start to take this, you'll see you can blend it out right there. So it doesn't look such a hard edge now. So now when you zoom out again, a little more realistic. And you can do that with all the colors. You can do it with the face as well. Wherever you get a hard edge coming to another piece, you can blend it out. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to do her, we'll do her dress. And the dress is nice because there's lots of areas to fill in there. So we'll click raster tool. Here, we're going to double click this. We're going to call it dress, enter, and we're going to click a color. Now we can choose any color we want.
Good morning again. May I have your attention for our midday prayer? In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the
Okay, so that was our end of the day announcements and our prayer. We're in a Catholic school, so we have a prayer at the end of every day. So now what I want to do is, so we're working on the dress. We come in here, select the color. I'm going to go with something bluish, maybe in this vicinity here. Click OK. Again, subjective, whatever color you want. Come back over to here. We're going to go Control I, like we did before, and now the mask is underneath. We are going to then paint with white again, using this paintbrush. Use a big one to begin with, something like this, and we can come in, and again, there we go, we're painting over it. So we got to come over here, and we're going to change the dress too. There's different overlays we can try. I'm going to use it. Let's go to how about soft light? Let's have a look and see what soft light looks like. That looks kind of professional, so I'm going to stick with that. You can play with it. You can soft light, you can use overlay, you can use whatever one to you looks more professional. So I'm going to come in, whoops, I went up too high, Control-Alt-Z. Take your time, do a nice job, try not to go across the hair, and if you do, you know how to back up. Okay, I have spent a little time here because I knew our announcements were going to happen, so I spent some time very, very carefully going back and forth, some spots I missed on the skin, some spots I missed on the dress and the hair and the eyes. And I just kept clicking back and forth and playing with the white and the black until we got that right. And you pay attention, you go zoom right into the edge, you can do a really nice job along the edge. It's all about accuracy with this. Like I zoomed in here and I could see even some spots I had missed along this area. So the nicer job you do, the better off it is. You can play with the opacity, like I said, quite a bit. You can change the different overlays and see what you get, see if you get a better effect. Okay, so the next step we're going to do now is we're going to come in here. We're going to work on the background now. Whoops. New roster mask, fill. And I call this one here background. Enter. And I'm going to come and I'm going to change the color of it to, let's go with something green. Something in maybe like this area, maybe a little darker. Click OK. And we're going to go Control I. And right now you'll see, we're gonna go, sorry, overlay. So I backed up a bit there. When you first bring it in, it should look like this. When you first bring the overlay in here and you got it on overlay and you set your color, you should be able to see the green poking through. And then afterwards, you're going to go Control I and you're going to hide it, hide the background. Click on the background, make sure you click here, Control I, and it's gone. And then what we're going to do is we're going to right click this one here and we're going to delete this raster mask. We're not going to use this raster mask. And we're going to leave the background as it is. And then we're going to combine all of these layers right here. And okay, so right click here and disable or delete this raster mask. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come here. We're going to hold down the Control key and you're going to click here. And then you're going to hold the Shift key down at the same time. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're going to select all of those ones. Then you come up here to Layer and you click Raster Mask and Hide Selection. And it will hide everything. And now what we're going to do is we're going to double click this one, or alt click this one rather. And we can come in here and we can fix this. So we're going to select black and make a little bit bigger. Because if I don't, when I bring the background in, the color of the background will bleed through all of these areas. That's why we're doing this part. So we're going to change the size a little bit, maybe to make it quicker for us. And we're going to come in here with the black, and any place that's bleeding through like this is where it'll come in. So take your time and go around yours. See, I'm going to pause my video and I'm going to slowly fill that all in. So now I've come back, I've filled that in. I might try to fill in this little bit too. And we can come back, we can double click this one and bear with me. Okay, so once that's done, you're going to click on this thing. You're going to be able to see the green, and you got that's the background. Now, if you zoom in, you're going to notice if you zoom in, it looks kind of hard here, and that's where the feather comes in nice. I played around a little bit with the feather. So if you come up here to the mask, I'll zoom in and you can see what exactly. So you can see a hard line right down through there. If I take my feather and I just bring it out, you don't want to go too far because you see this, you can see what's happening. The green is blending in here and this is blending back the other way. So if you go too far, it blends right across. But if you just go something like this, maybe 4 or so, and then you zoom out and you can see it doesn't look like such a hard transition now. It looks, again, more realistic. I hide the transform controls there. So now it's looking pretty realistic. We can now come down here and we can click on new folder, and oh, just a second, the thing's going to come on. Okay, we're going to now combine. We're going to create a new folder and hopefully no more announcements kick on. First thing I'm going to do is click on the top one here, background, and then shift and click the bottom one, and you'll see it grabs them all. And if you come down here, new folder, we're going to call the folder color and click that. And now what you can do is you can play with that. You can turn the color off and on and see what you've done and what the results are and how it looks. So I'm going to zoom out a bit and have a look at it. And there's the color, and that's what we've got now. So it looks pretty cool. The last thing I want to do is I'm going to open this up, and in here, within this folder here, I'm going to add one more layer, and I'm going to use curves. And then I'm going to put 3 points, 1, 2, 3 along here. And now you can play with these curves and you can watch what happens in here to see if it looks more realistic. So lifting it up brings the shadows back. So you can kind of play with that and see what you get. And I'm going to bring these, I'm going to actually take this one up a little bit so I can see a little bit more and maybe play with this one. And you can see it just gives you a little bit of an ability to fine tune the back. I think coming down looks better than it did going up. So something like that. So that's the last thing. Okay, so then you save your project. In the future, what we're going to do is we're going to give you something interesting to colorize, maybe a historic picture, maybe something that you find on the internet. Pexel, P-E-X-E-L, is a great place to go. You type in grayscale. I find the best way to do that is to go into Google and type in Pexel grayscale, and then it comes up with a whole bunch of nice black and white pictures for you to start. Okay, so thanks for watching.